Hi there, I'm Milo and this is the Apatros review. Now the first thing you're going to notice is, the picture quality looks a little bit less than usual and the sound quality looks pretty bad. Unfortunately, I can't really help that because the equipment I record my videos on normally, this Xgo Note 10, has a failing battery. In fact, the battery pretty much died, and I haven't been able to find a replacement battery. But in a few days' time, I'll be able to get myself a new phone. But it's going to take at least maybe a week and a half before I'll be able to get that phone. So for the next couple of videos, I'm going to have to do it like this. And by the way, the phone I'm using now is a V-Phone Moon 820. It's just like an emergency backup phone. So I think, of course, when I get my new phone, if it's satisfactory, I'll get myself another one. Anyway, so I apologize for the quality, but I can't really help it. I mean, the only option would be to wait at least a week and a half until I get my new phone, but that's going to pretty much be too long of a delay. So, the next couple of videos, including this one, is going to be like this. Okay. Now, in this episode, we'll take a look at a film called The Seven Men of Sumuru. That's actually the original title translated from German. It's known in other places as Future Women, which is the print that it's labeled on in the Sci-Fi Invasion box set. And also Mothers of America in some places, but the most common English language title is The Girl from Rio. Now this was a film that was a co-production between Spain, the United Kingdom, the United States and West Germany. It was theatrically released first in West Germany on the 14th of March 1969, and then in Italy in the Ivrea region on the 6th of April 1970, and then in Milan in Italy on the 22nd of August 1970, and then in Spain in Barcelona on the 20th of March 1972, and in Seville on the 15th of July 1972, and then in Madrid on the 5th of February 1973. It was directed by Jess Franco and written by Harry Alan Towers, Franz Eichhorn, and Bruno Leder. It was based on characters created by Sax Rohmer and produced by Harry Alan Towers. Now the cast includes Shirley Eaton, who was a former Bond girl, Richard Stapley, Mario Rom, Marta Reeves, George Sanders, Benny Cardoso, and Elisa Montes. Now, like I said, this was released onto the... Let me adjust my light. This was released onto the Sci-Fi Invasion box set from Mill Creek in a print that, according to IMDb, is a cut print. It has a runtime of nearly 82 minutes in NTSC, compared to the 94 minutes runtime of the uncut print, apparently removing all nudity and the torture scenes halfway through. But my print does have some nudity on it. Plenty of boobs seen here. I count at least 4 pairs and a butt and even a brief flash of what the Brits would term a tank driver's hat. And the torture scenes are also visible here in a bit. It may have been cut a little, but there's still plenty of stuff in here to see, so the question is simply what got cut out. Now, this was one of a long list of movies made by the undisputed champion of Euroschlock, the late, he died in 2013, Jess Franco, real name Jesus Franco. This guy, who was kicked out of Catholic elementary school as a kid, had a very long run of B-movies. That, for the most part, were cheap crap. For even a guy like Franco had his fair share of rough gems. In fact, his film Vampires Lesbos was generally regarded as his masterpiece. I actually have that. And I've seen a total of 4 of this guy's movies. I have Vampires Lesbos, She Killed in Ecstasy, and Oasis of the Zombies. This particular film I'm reviewing here is on Sci-Fi Invasion, so I'm not actually adding this one. But anyway. Now, to give you some idea of just how big Franco was in Eurojunk, he made a total of 199 films. So just one film short of the 200 mark, many of which exist in multiple cuts. For example, his early 1970s lesbian vampire flick, The Bare-Breasted Countess, exists in at least 3 versions. The standard cut, the horror cut, which removed all the softcore scenes to market it as a regular horror flick, and the hardcore version, which has only been on DVD once. There was a German DVD released more than a decade ago which had the hardcore version on it, which actually also had 2 alternating covers. So if you're a Franco completist, you're going to have a very hard time tracking down every single cut of every single Franco film. It's pretty much a fool's errand, because many of these prints haven't been released on DVD. And of course, Franco made films from the 50s up until his death in the early 2010s. Now, in The Seven Men of Sumuru, which is a literal translated German title of the film, I have heard some sources claim The Seven Secrets of Sumuru, but the Seven Men of Sumuru is what you get when you actually translate the film according to Google Translate. Now, in this film, a nasty, misandrous lesbian feminist has amassed an army of literally drop-dead gorgeous women warriors and they all live on the private island of Femina, which is close to Rio de Janeiro, hence the common international title of the girl from Rio. This army is planning to take over the world, but they need the funds for it. You can't exactly take over the rest of the world without having at least the necessary resources to fund that fight. The Germans tried that in World War II, but they lost the resources at the end of the fight with the Allies bombing the factories and the Soviet Red Army being silly well equipped and literally steamrolling past German defenses. And right now they only have about a few $1 million worth of stolen gold bars. To gain more funds, they send their scouts out to discover any lucrative revenue stream they can utilize. To their luck, they discovered an associate of a rich gangster had stolen $10 million in Mafia funds, or so it seems, and is trying to flee with the loot to a safe country hideout. This feminist army captures him and takes him to Femina, where he's given the guests a guided tour and then eventually put into one of the island's torture cells, pumped with enough nerve gas to make him wobbly jellyfish. But this bloke actually has one ace up his sleeve. The $10 million heist was actually a fake. It was a funny operation designed to lure these feminist terrorists out into the open, and also to rescue one of their female captors, the daughter of the rich underworld figure. And the local crime boss has his own army of black suit, bowler hat wearing troops sent in to assault the place with helicopters. Now, I've seen enough of Jess Franco's films. This is the fourth one I've seen, but the first I'm reviewing here. In the future, I'll review Vampires Lesbos, Oasis of Zombies, and Chico and Ecstasy. And to have a good impression of what the guy is capable of. First off, Franco had, when he had mind for it, a good eye for stylistic visuals. Franco also worked in just about every genre in the 1970s exploitation market. He didn't do any kids' films, but he pretty much worked in all sorts of other things, many of which also had adult material on them, let's just put it that way. Franco was also known for abusing crash zooms, which is where the camera just zooms in like that. Oasis of the Zombies from 1981 was infamous for having almost every second shot being a crash scene. Believe me, I've seen that movie and I have the British DVD. And the 7 Men of Sumuru has plenty of zooms here as well, but this one was made at least a decade before Oasis of the Zombies. And of course, Franco always had an obsession with that sort of camera trick. But Oasis of the Zombies is where he really took it into overdrive. Now, with this film, Franco just didn't have the enthusiasm for the project, and the movie feels indifferently slung together with no passion visible. Nothing here feels like Franco gave a damn of what he was making. The acting, the dialogue, and action scenes all have the necessary competence to not look like crap, but at the same time, there's no energy in the story. We just get about 3 action set pieces, but most of the film is just misandrous monologues from the villainous and underworld conspiracy talk. That's really all there is to the film. Well, then the occasional side boobs. One-time Bond girl, Shirley Eaton, plays the feminine leader here, and she does put up a pretty decently hokey impression as a bad girl mastermind. Now, this film gets a D, 2 out of 10 from me. It's pretty damn bad, but not exactly unwatchable. Good to have playing in the background when you're doing housework or at a house party. Now, forgo nudity. There's no gore. And by the way, on the Sci-Fi Invasion menu, when you watch this from this set on the menu, you notice that there's the menu split. It's like 3 monitor sets, each playing clips from the film. The middle of those 3 monitors, the big one, which is on the top right corner, is playing, like I said, they're playing random little clips from the set's catalogue of movies. Now that middle monitor, at the end of the menu cycle, ends with a shot of a couple walking down the road and being greeted by what looks like a humanoid alien with a black and white face, orange hair, and holding a cigarette in his mouth. I've been intrigued by this brief clip. I was wondering when I was going to find out which movie it was from. Well, it was from this very movie here. And my initial impression holds up if you only see it on the menu, not watch the film itself. So what you see on the monitor is basically the couple walking, and it looks like an alien. But in reality, the orange-haired figure is just an underworld henchmook with a disguise on, who the hero obliges by lighting his smoke for him. That's pretty much what the scene is. This same henchmook is later tossed off a bridge during a fistfight. So at least now I know what clip that movie's from. What movie that clip's from, sorry. Now, as for nudity, there is a decent smattering of exposed lady wobbly bits here. I counted at least 4 pairs of boobs, a couple of butts, and an even brief glimpse of a beaver, from the female prisoner lying on the floor in the torture cell halfway through. While the feminine warriors all wear the standard feminine army uniform of black outfits, with very short tank tops so you can see the underside of their boobs, and red capes. This obviously isn't a television print, as nudity would not be permissible in 1970s TV programming, but the review print style of Future Wind was used for the American TV print. So I wonder which version of this film Mill Creek did source for this set. And of course, like I said, 1970s Euro films, there were plenty of different cuts going around. Particularly in Spain. You see, in Spain, in the first half of the 70s, up until Franco died, the filmmakers would shoot multiple versions of their films. Like they would shoot the nude scenes for the international market, and for the Spanish domestic market, they'd reshoot those scenes with actors wearing clothes. There are a few occasions where I'm actually going to point that out in a future review. Anyway, now the print quality on the Sci-Fi Invasion box, it looks like an old film reel. It's possibly also VHS rip. I'm not really sure which. Actually, it looks more like a film reel because I saw some tears in the film at certain points. Okay, so that's it for that review. So, to reiterate, the Go for Miro or the 7mm Sumuru or Future Women, whichever title you prefer, gets a D 2 out of 10. It's bad. Not terrible, because, like I said, Franco did have the skills to make some things pretty slick, but he just didn't have the passion for it, and it feels, I wouldn't say sloppy. Oasis the Zombies are sloppy, but this one just doesn't feel, there's no energy to it. It just feels like something you could just put on the TV in the background while you're doing housework, or have a house party, and that's it. That's the sort of thing. What it is. Anyway. But you're not going to lose your mind while watching it. Okay, that's it for that review. And like I said, I apologize for the video and sound quality, but I'm shooting this on my emergency backup phone. It'll be at least maybe a week and a half before I get a new phone. Okay. This is my old phone, the one I was shooting my previous videos on. That's an Xgo Note 10. 7-inch monster of a phone. But if I actually find a spare battery for this phone, I'll use it. I mean, if I can get one. Okay. Hope you guys are staying safe. Now, I don't do requests, but if you have any questions about films or DVDs in general, just hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. See you guys.